Have you ever wondered why some people achieve extraordinary success, while others, despite working hard, never seem to break through? What if the difference isn't luck, talent, or even intelligence, but how they think? Take Elon Musk. Before Tesla, before SpaceX, and becoming one of the most influential entrepreneurs of our time, Musk had a vision of what could work today and what could shape the future. While most people ask, "How can I build a successful business?" Musk asked, "How can humanity become a multiplanetary species?" Instead of thinking small, he trained his mind to think ahead, take calculated risks, and push beyond conventional limits. John C. Maxwell spent decades studying how high achievers think. In How Successful People Think, he identifies key mental shifts that separate ordinary thinkers from extraordinary leaders. The good news is that these shifts are not just for billionaires and CEOs. Anyone can learn to think like a high achiever, and today you'll learn exactly how. If you're serious about changing your mindset, making better decisions, and achieving long-term success, subscribe to this channel. It is dedicated to breaking down the most powerful ideas from books that can transform your life. Now, let's dive into the first mindset shift that separates successful people from everyone else. 1. Thinking ahead. Vision before action. When Elon Musk founded SpaceX in 2001, he wasn't thinking about quick profits or short-term success. He wasn't even thinking about building rockets. He was asking a much bigger question. How can humanity become a multiplanetary species? Most people laughed. At the time, private space exploration was unheard of. NASA had massive budgets, but even they struggled with space travel costs. Musk didn't care. He looked beyond the present, beyond the challenges, and focused on where he wanted to be decades into the future. The difference between people who stay stuck and those who break through isn't talent or luck. It's how far ahead they think. Most people plan for the next paycheck, the next promotion, or the next business deal. Musk wasn't thinking about next year. He was thinking about the next century. Now, SpaceX is changing everything. Reusable rockets, private space stations, and missions to Mars all resulted from a single decision to think ahead instead of reacting to the present. That's how successful people operate. They don't wait for opportunities. They create them by focusing on the future before it arrives. But vision alone doesn't lead to success. You need to know where to focus your energy, and we'll discuss this next. 2. Thinking with focus. The power of saying no. In the 1980s, Warren Buffett's pilot, Mike Flint, asked for career advice. Buffett told him to write down his 25 most important goals. Flint did. Then Buffett said, "Now, circle only the top 5. Flint assumed the remaining 20 were his secondary priorities. But Buffett shook his head. "No," he said. "Those 20 are the ones you must avoid at all costs." This is where most people fail. They don't lack ambition, they lack focus. They try to do too much, chasing every opportunity, saying yes to everything, and thinking that being busy equals being productive. But successful people know that saying yes to the wrong things means saying no to what truly matters. By mastering this principle, Buffett built one of the greatest investment empires in history. He didn't invest in every promising company. He waited, studied, and focused only on the absolute best opportunities. Most people scatter their energy. They start a business while learning a new skill, launching a side hustle, and training for a marathon all at once. They don't realize that dividing focus is the fastest way to slow progress. Success isn't about doing more. It's about doing less but better. And the people who master this principle move faster than everyone else. Next, we'll examine how successful people view failure and why it is an advantage, not a setback. 3. Thinking reflectively. Failure as a teacher. In 1975, a young entrepreneur launched a company called Traf-O Data. He believed it could revolutionize traffic data analysis, but the business was a complete failure. It never made a profit and collapsed within a few years. That entrepreneur was Bill Gates. Most people see failure as an ending. Gates saw it as a lesson. Instead of quitting, he analyzed what went wrong. Trafo data taught him how to write better software, spot what customers build business partnerships, and, most importantly, how to spot what customers needed. A few years later, he co-founded Microsoft. The rest is history. Successful people don't just experience failure. They study it. They ask, what went wrong? What can I do differently? What lesson is hidden in this? Instead of avoiding mistakes, they use them to build something stronger. Meanwhile, most people do the opposite. They fear failure so much that they never take risks, never push boundaries, and never grow. They either give up too soon or refuse to learn from their mistakes. The truth is that success doesn't come from avoiding failure. It comes from using failure as a tool for improvement. Gates didn't let one failed company define him. He let it prepare him. Next, we'll explore why successful people embrace change instead of resisting it. Rigid thinking is the fastest way to fall behind in an always evolving world. 4. Thinking flexibly. Adapting to change. In 2000, Netflix co-founder Reed Hastings walked into Blockbuster's headquarters with a proposal. At the time, Netflix was a struggling DVD rental service, and Hastings offered to sell his company for $50 million. Blockbuster's executives laughed in his face. They believed customers would never switch from renting movies in stores to streaming online. Today, Netflix is worth over $200 billion. Blockbuster, gone. This is the cost of rigid thinking. Blockbuster clung to an outdated business model because it was comfortable, familiar, and had previously worked. But the world was changing, and they refused to change with it. Meanwhile, Hastings embraced innovation. He adapted before it was necessary. Successful people don't resist change. They anticipate it, embrace it, and use it to their advantage. Instead of thinking, this is how we've always done it, they ask, what if there's a better way? They stay curious, experiment with new ideas, and remain open to the possibility that what worked yesterday won't work tomorrow. Most people wait until they're forced to change. By then, it's too late. The ones who thrive stay ahead of the curve. Next, we'll examine why success isn't just about personal achievement. It's about who you surround yourself with. 5. Thinking relationally. Success is built on connections. In 1971, Steve Jobs met Steve Wozniak. Wozniak was a brilliant engineer, but he had no interest in starting a business. Jobs saw something bigger. He convinced Wozniak to build something revolutionary together. That partnership became Apple. Jobs wasn't the best engineer. He wasn't the best coder. But he understood something most people overlook. Success isn't a solo game. Most people believe they'll succeed if they work hard enough alone. But the world's most successful people know that who you surround yourself with determines how far you go. They build strong networks, seek mentors, and surround themselves with people who challenge and push them. Warren Buffett credits his mentor, Benjamin Graham, with much of his success. Elon Musk works alongside some of the smartest engineers in the world. The best performers don't compete alone. They build teams that improve them. Meanwhile, the average person stays in the wrong circles. They spend time with people who complain, settle for mediocrity, and discourage ambition. Over time, their environment shapes their mindset and their results. Success is not just about skill or intelligence. It's about creating the right connections, finding the right mentors, and learning from the best. Next, we'll talk about the final mindset shift and why truly successful people don't chase quick wins but think in decades, not days. 6. Thinking long-term, playing the infinite game. In the early days of Amazon, Jeff Bezos told his investors something shocking. He had not cared about making a profit for years. While other companies focused on quarterly earnings, Bezos focused on long-term market dominance. Most businesses try to win the next quarter. Bezos played a decades-long game. Instead of chasing quick profits, he reinvested every dollar into better infrastructure, faster shipping, and a superior customer experience. People doubted him. They thought Amazon would fail. but today it's one of the most valuable companies in the world. This is how high achievers think. They don't measure success in days or months. They think in years, even lifetimes. They make decisions today that will not pay off immediately, but will compound over time. Most people quit too early. They expect instant results, and they give up when they don't see them. Successful people understand success is built on patience, consistency, and a long-term vision. The question is, are you making decisions based on short-term comfort or long-term growth? The way you answer that will determine where you end up. Now, let's combine everything and examine how you can implement these mindset shifts in your life. We've covered 6 powerful ways that successful people think differently. These aren't just habits, they're mindset shifts that separate the stuck from the breakthrough. 1. Think ahead. The most successful people don't react to life. They plan for the future and make decisions based on where they want to be in 10 years, not just next week. 2. Think with focus. They don't chase every opportunity. They eliminate distractions and focus only on what moves them forward. 3. Think reflectively. They don't fear failure. They study it, learn from it, and use it as a stepping stone to something greater. 4. Think flexibly. They don't cling to outdated ideas. They adapt, innovate, and embrace change before they have to. 5. Think relationally. They know success is built on strong relationships with mentors, business partners, and like-minded people who push them forward. 6. Think long-term. They don't chase quick wins. They make smart, patient decisions that compound over time. Now the real question is, which of these mindsets do you need to work on the most? Are you struggling with focus? Do you need to start thinking long-term? Or maybe you've been afraid of failure instead of learning from it? Take a moment to reflect and drop a comment below. What's your biggest takeaway from this video? If you found this valuable, please subscribe. This channel is dedicated to breaking down the most powerful ideas from books that can transform your mindset and life. If you want to explore this further, I highly recommend watching my summary of Stephen Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It's the perfect follow-up to this video because it shows you how to turn these mindset shifts into daily habits. Thanks for watching, and remember, the way you think shapes the life you build.